Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Hey, hockey fans, and welcome to Game Over Vancouver. That was a close one. It was close. It was 5-4 Tampa Bay over the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks hit the midway point of the season, 3 games under 500. I have an amazing guest here to help me break it all down. Not only tonight's game, but a bigger picture look at this team. But first and foremost, welcome to all of you. I am Clay Emo. I'm Canuck Clay, both here on YouTube and on Twitter. You're welcome to give me a follow on both places. More importantly, subscribe to this SDPN channel, Steve Dangle Podcast Network. Game Over shows for all 7 Canadian cities. And especially thank you for being here tonight. So like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're listening on a podcast platform, rate and review. And feel free to share this video. Tweet out this video and say, hey, we're going to be talking about the Vancouver Canucks for the next 35 to 40 minutes. Before we get going, though, I bring in my guests, I have a special ad that I want you to take a look at. Here we go. Think you know what way it's going to go? Make your bet with Sports Interaction. Whether it's hockey, football, or basketball, Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pregame, live and play, or in one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all that sports betting has to offer. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Steve Dangle Podcast Network. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Magic. I don't have to read that live now every single show. And I was rocking the SDPN shirt. But yes, very important. Support our sponsor, Sports Interaction. And once again, subscribe to SDPN. Like this video as well. Okay, enough about me. It's time to bring in my guest. It's someone that I was blessed to meet when he was living in Vancouver. I think he's from, I'll let him tell the story. Then he went to go study back east. He's got his own show. I have my show. We've done some collabs. So let's bring him on right now. Please welcome to the show from Uncontested Hockey, Mr. David Lewis. Dave, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped to be on. Definitely a good game to come on for, too. An exciting one, 5-4 right at the end there.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. So, Dave, before we get started, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do and where they can follow you?
Okay, sweet. So my name's David, as Clay said, and my buddy John and I have a hockey channel, Uncontested Hockey, behind me. I can drop that in the chat. I'll put the link there if you guys want to go subscribe or whatever. It'd be much appreciated. We're making the push for 1,000. But I'm a diehard Vancouver fan. I actually grew up in Ontario, but didn't live particularly close to Toronto, not very close to Montreal, and not close to Ottawa. And was born in Montreal, and a goalie in hockey, and Luongo was just the man, standing on his head every night. Fell in love with the Canucks, and nothing's really changed since. And now John and I just talk about it a few times a week. We cover all 32 NHL teams, so that's fun, but we put a specific focus on the 7 Canadian teams. And John being a Habs fan, myself a Canucks fan, we do a lot about that. But anyways, yeah, we try and bring stuff from all different sides, whether it's analytics-based, just what the media is saying, what we're watching throughout the game. So it's a great time and very blessed to have met some awesome people such as Clay along the way, but it's been fun.
Awesome. So yeah, definitely take a second to put it in the chat right now. Yeah. So if you want to follow Dave and John's show called Uncontested Hockey, I'm sure he'll put the YouTube link in there. You can also find them on Twitter. On Twitter, though, it's not the full name, right? It's like a few letters missing.
Yeah, I think it's at Uncontested HKY, like short for hockey.
Okay.
But on Instagram, if you guys have, you should check that out. In particular, I made a model that projects like how guys should do analytically and stuff. And like I'll post player cards on Instagram. So at Uncontested Hockey, just all straight up, no underscores or anything like that, at Uncontested Hockey. And
awesome.
Yeah, we try and engage with people as much as we can.
Good. Well, keep up the great work. Let's engage with everyone tonight. We're going to break down the game. We're going to talk about the Canucks blue line in particular because of a certain player who got healthy scratch tonight. And then we'll get into the chat section at the very end. So once again, everyone here watching, thanks for being here. Okay, it's 5-4. I led with Dave. That I thought the Canucks actually played quite well. And I wouldn't say deserving of the win because they still made some bad errors at some bad times. But what were your impressions of the game overall?
I just like Clay, when the shots were like 33-33, I knew that I was going to go on Twitter and I was going to see people say like, oh, not a bad game. I always check moneypuck.com. They give you a deserve to win meter based on expected goals.
Yeah.
Tampa had a 75% deserve to win tonight.
Oh,
And like Vancouver's never been a specific, like great analytic team.
yeah.
But Tampa isn't either. They went to the Stanley Cup final 3 years in a row while continuously having more expected goals again. So if you're going to beat Tampa, if you're going to beat a goalie like Vasilevsky, you gotta test them. And I think it was a gutsy effort. Like, you guys were playing hard. I found the top six particularly impressive tonight. Like, whether it was the Horvat line or the Pettersson line out there, I felt like they were generating, which was good to see. And when you look at the players who were like expected goals for the night, most of the guys who are under 50% were all bottom six guys.
Right.
So good that your important players were playing like important players. Nice to have Pettersson get 2 points, get him up to 50 points. But overall, a good showing in Tampa. I feel like every time we go to Tampa, we just get like absolutely rinsed. I remember the one year in 2019-20, we had the 7-game winning streak. We walk into Tampa and get like thumped like 9-2. Last year, I remember it being an absolute crapshoot as well. So nice to have a competitive performance. And man, it would have been awesome if Curtis Lazar buried that at the last play of the game.
Yeah. Usually sometimes I like to go and break down each goal, but I don't think we have to because, hey, they're 9 goals. It'll take forever. But when I first saw that game-ending chance, I thought, oh my gosh, how come he couldn't put it in? But I guess when we saw the replay, it was still a good chance, but he was in a lot tighter than I thought he was. It happened so fast, right? So, and I'm surprised Lazar was out there.
That's what I didn't want to bury any player on my first intro rant, but like, what the heck? And I guess Garland they couldn't even find his helmet. He went out there with Lockwood's helmet. So I guess Garland was a no.
Yeah.
But you got 6 guys.
Yeah.
Unless someone was gassed on the bench, like the 6 guys for Vancouver is so easy.
Yeah. You think even if Garland unavailable, you think Kuzmenko would be the natural, or even Mikheyev ahead of Lazar, but maybe they wanted a net front presence. I don't know, but I'm not blaming him at all. I don't think you are as well, but yes, that would have been exciting. The fact that the Canucks, Dave, even made it a game, like it looked pretty dim after that 5-2 goal, but the big guys came to play. Hughes and Petey each scored in the last 5 minutes to make it interesting.
Yeah, good to have Quinn getting a couple goals under his belt here. Scored against Pittsburgh the other night and then tonight as well.
Yeah.
He was obviously like when he scored that first goal of the season against wasn't Seattle, it was San Jose maybe. It was a beautiful goal, obviously snipes, and you could just see like he wasn't even like happy. Like he was just like, thank God, like on pace to score like 5 goals this year, whatever, 4 goals. Like he wasn't even happy. But then he gets a couple more under his belt. Hopefully that helps the confidence, because it was all talk about how his shot improved this summer. He went on 32 shots, talked about how Yossi outshot him by like 100 shots and how he's going to be shooting the puck a lot more. And it really hasn't been there this year. I don't know where his shots are at, but the goals definitely haven't been.
Yeah.
And so nice to see him get a couple. And Pettersson's just been dynamite.
Yeah.
He's been ripping the puck. I felt he was due, especially after that Pittsburgh game. He could have had a few in that game alone. So nice to see him come through in the last few minutes.
And you make a good point about the best players being the best players. I think Petey, Miller, and Hughes were the Canucks players that had multi-point games tonight. So I love what you said, Dave, about the whole deserve to win meter, because maybe I got biased. I think it was John Shorthouse who said on the broadcast that this was probably their best and their best game on the road trip, and that was when they were losing 5-2. Then I look at the overall team stats, and I see them out shooting Tampa 40-35, even in the faceoff circle. Yeah, maybe special teams weren't brutally bad, but they gave up 2, so that's not great. But they got 1 back, and they out hit, they out blocked the Lightning. So when you just look at the stat line, just the stat line without the analytics, it looks, you'd say, yeah, the Canucks played at least Tampa at least straight up.
Right.
So what were the biggest issues? Why do you think indeed Tampa seemed to be having this in the bag with 10 minutes to go in the game?
Look, if Vancouver win this game, I probably don't come on here and start bashing the analytics. Like, let's call a spade. And also, I know the special teams weren't over and like a huge issue with Miller getting that nice breakaway goal there.
Yeah.
But like, if you're going to give a team like Tampa Bay 4th in the league on power play, if you give them a 5-on-3, like you're just it's an automatic goal. And for a team like Vancouver, you can't afford to give any more automatic goals than you're already giving with some of these turnovers.
Yeah.
But for me, I think some of the issues, like it's still just really sloppy. Like there's like we come out firing, right? Like I live in Montreal, so I get to watch the Habs a lot. And Vancouver's a very inconsistent team, but Montreal is a very inconsistent team as well. And Montreal, though, through 10 minutes, if the shots are 8-0 Montreal, you're like, man, Montreal's on tonight. It's going to be a great game. And like, Montreal's good. And if the shots are 8-0 for the other team through 5 minutes, you're like, man, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
But Vancouver, they could be out shooting a team 20-0, and it doesn't mean a thing. Like you could it's like awesome, but you better hope that you scored, because or else like the other team's going to start turning it on, right? Yeah. And I just found still the inconsistent plays. Like we had an awesome first 10 minutes, and then Tampa comes roaring at the start of the second, and you can't have 5-minute lapses where you just totally take your foot off the gas pedal. Yeah. But I will say definitely more positives than negatives from this game, especially compared to some of the past few games.
Yeah, and the Canucks, their margin for error, Dave, is so small that anytime Dakota Joshua forgets to stick with Nikita Kucherov, or anytime a guy splits Hughes and Bear, I'm basically outlining the goals that the Canucks had no chance on, or the one where off a face-off that you have Petey and Myers trying to block a shot, but no one actually going after the guy. So those obviously a lot of goals happen because of mistakes. Then you're right, 5-on-3 against a team with Hedman, Kucherov, Point, and Stamkos, you're going to give up at least one. And then the other power play goal too that they scored. What was the other one? So one was Stamkos, and the other one was the first one. Perry, a tip. So
yeah, Perry tip.
Yeah, and on that one, maybe another mistake. I know Lazar had a chance to clear the puck, and he lost it behind his own net. So, like with many goals and many teams, goals are scored when you mess up. But aside from those mess ups, and I'm not downplaying them, they're big mistakes. I thought the Canucks they didn't play a perfect game, but at least I didn't mind the effort. I think you see that. Yeah, maybe the score effects, maybe Tampa takes their foot off the gas, maybe they're trying too hard to get Stamkos' 500th goal, but at least they didn't fold it in, pack it in, I should say.
Yeah, no, I agree. And as fans, like with this season, like look, coming in, everyone wanted the playoffs at this point.
Yeah,
like a 3% chance I saw today. So
great.
We want hope, right? You want to see the big players play well. You want to have fun, exciting hockey games.
Yeah.
And even if that means letting in some goals, as long as you're scoring them, we want fun games. And we definitely had that today.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was definitely, well, I know we'll talk about it more later, but it was an interesting look at the blue line without OEL, because over the past 2 years, he's been such a staple. And like, I knew that with him gone, Dermott's going to get more looks. And then Dermott leaves, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like what's going to happen here? Like, so it was definitely an interesting seeing Stillman get relied on as much as he did, seeing some of those guys get a lot of ice time. I'm not sure where the minutes were distributed. I can check that out now.
Yeah, actually, I can read it to you. Dermott only had 8. So you had...
no, not Dermott. Well, he was going to get played a lot, I think, but then when did he get injured? In the second?
Yeah, but then he came out for the third. So, but I saw them, maybe he didn't play a lot for the third, but yeah, he was at 27.5, Myers at 26.5. And then you had Shen and Stillman at 17 and Barrett all at 17. So they're all within a minute of each other. Yeah. Wow. Stillman was actually, I'm quick to rag on him, but Stillman was actually fine tonight.
Yeah. I didn't, honestly, what did Botch always used to say? The Sea of Granlunds. Like, I feel like this blue line is just turned into the Sea of Granlunds for me. Like, it's just all a bunch of guys who struggle to defend at even strength. And I don't know. It's like, this is more talking long game here, but this blue line is going to need a serious makeover going into next season if they have any aspiration at being competitive, for sure. But look, they played hard tonight. I feel like I'm coming on here being way too negative, but like they played a hard game against a Tampa team that's really good. Tampa scores on everybody. Tampa has an unbelievable power play, and they kept them to 5-4 in a game where they battled hard, even though the analytics suggested that they probably should have lost by a bit more.
Right.
I thought that they played hard and it was fun.
Yeah, and Tampa, you can tell why they've been a championship team. They're fast, and they have skill. They're fast guys like Point. They're skilled. Stamkos, Kucherov. They're big. Hedman, Belmar, and Maroon, Perry. So you can see they're kind of like Winnipeg, or maybe Winnipeg is Tampa light. Actually, I think you know this. Winnipeg's my second favorite team. Tampa is my third favorite team after the Canucks. But you can see why these teams are successful, and they have that combination of size, speed, and skill. Okay, Dave, you teased this well. We're going to talk about the blue line in the second segment. So Thank you, everyone, once again for joining us. My guest is Dave Lewis of Uncontested Hockey, Vancouver boy out in Montreal doing his thing. So we're thrilled to have him on here, and we're thrilled to have all of you. So start getting active in the chat, speak with each other, converse with each other. We'll get to your comments in the third segment, but we're going to take a quick 2-second pause so I can insert the ad later, and then we're going to move on to the second segment. Make sure you subscribe to SDPN, like the video. I'm Canuck Clay. He's Uncontested Hockey. Make sure you find us as well. So let's take a quick breath, and then we'll get on to our second segment. Okay, Dave, the story that broke when the Canucks, well, it's two things actually. Firstly, it was Tanner Pearson. I can't believe we got through 50 minutes without even mentioning Tanner Pearson out for the rest of the season, but we will save that for another show. I think the bigger story, even though that was a big story, but he's kind of been out of sight, out of mind, was OEL. His first scratch in over 10 years and his first one as a Vancouver Canuck. What was your reaction, Dave? Did you see the lines from morning skate, or did you see the line rushes half an hour before game? When did you hear about this?
I heard about it this morning.
Yeah.
The line rushes where he was on like the fourth pair, skating, basically knowing that he's not going to play. But we've seen Bruce do this, and then like a guy ends up in the lineup more just to scare him. But I feel like a guy like OEL doesn't really need a scare. The guy hasn't been a healthy scratch since 2011.
Yep.
Which is insane, really. He's been just a staple of whichever team he's played on blue line, like Vancouver. Even Bruce said it, and he said he's arguably our best defenseman. I think it would be quite an argument, but he's been a staple. He's played a lot, so it was shocking for sure. But that's when I found out about how about yourself?
Yeah, no, great. I love how you said you were shocked. I was shocked, maybe too strong. I was surprised because I actually thought Myers. No, they're both equally bad. They're both equally bad against Pittsburgh. They're both -3, I think, and yeah. Ekman-Larsson shouldn't have pinched on this play, but then Myers didn't do any favors this play. Like, so you can half dozen of one, 6 of the other. I think I messed that up, but you know what I'm saying. So, and then if you scratch Myers, do you think you have more depth on the right side with Bear and then Shen, and then I guess you bring in a Kyle Burrows or a Stillman can play on the right, or you scratch Ekman-Larsson and you say, okay, maybe we have more depth on the left technically with Hughes. Actually, maybe not Dermott. So you're still stuck with playing either Stillman or Burrows, right, to replace OEL. Yeah. So I guess
even think it mattered.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think it mattered. I think Bruce wanted to send a message, and OEL was his guy. Yeah. OEL has been a little bit worse this season.
Yep.
And the thing is with OEL, we also expect a little more because Myers, we've seen him the past 4 years in Vancouver since that 2019-20 season. And the fans ragged on him so hard over this year, like over a lot of those years. And last year was a bit better. But OEL, when we acquired him, like the bar was so low. Like it wasn't that high. People were saying as long as he could play top 4 and not be a liability. I remember we had Michael Russo from The Athletic on our show, and he said, like, in his opinion, OEL is the most overrated player in the NHL.
Great.
My buddies, the Alexi twins, they're probably the two most knowledgeable guys when it comes to hockey I know. In that funky COVID year, both their teams were in the same division as OEL and the Arizona Coyotes. And they said every time OEL hopped over the boards, I got pumped because I knew that we were going to get some good chances. And so for me, I'm like, wow, like this sucks. But he started the year last year, and through 500 minutes played, he was the only defenseman in the NHL to be on for less than 10 even strength goals. Like last year was not that bad.
No, they were fine, actually. You're right.
Yeah. Yep. And so the expectation for this year was like, look, on PP2, maybe you won't get a lot of Ekman-Larsson points, but he's someone that you can count on to defend under some reliable minutes.
Yep. Yep. No.
And this year's going to struggle.
No, that's a really good point. OEL Myers, they weren't amazing, but they're fine. They were our shutdown pair, and that allowed Hughes and Shen to kind of do a bit more last year, and that's fine. I think, Dave, unfortunately for OEL, he's always going to be tied to Jim Benning's desperate Hail Mary of trading away $12 million of expiring contracts and Eriksson, Beagle, and Roussel, plus the 9th overall pick, who turned out to be Dylan Gunther. He had no clue who that was going to be, for basically two guys that we've heard at different times this season, maybe the Canucks might be looking to ship them out. So he was always already coming in almost kind of with that stacked against him. Having said that, Dave, do you think really this could go one or two or maybe 3 ways? It's just a 1-game scratch. He's back on the weekend, and he's back in his normal spot and he's fine and he gets the bit of the wake up call that the Kuzmenkos and Garlands have had so far. So that's one option. The other option is the way you look at it is, well, there's two others, is with Pearson out, do you not rush Demko back? Do you end up scratching guys like this? And maybe, I never say the T word, as you know, but maybe decrease your chances of winning. Or the third option is, do you think this actually becomes the first of a series of scratches in an effort to somehow, well, you're not going to move him by scratching him, but maybe do you even consider a buyout? So there's all those options. Do any of those appeal to you? Do you think it's going to go any of those ways?
I'll start by saying that OEL gets back in the lineup next game.
Okay.
I would be shocked if he wasn't.
Right.
Bruce Boudreau loves his veterans. He loves his leaders. And to scratch OEL one game, it's sending a message. Scratch him 2 games. I think even despite how poorly he played, it's a slap in the face.
Yep.
I don't think he'll get scratched 2 games in a row. And then the second part of that I wanted to say was, I'm forgetting here.
It's okay. I talked for so long there, so.
I don't even remember. But basically, OEL, I think he's back next game.
Yeah.
And as far as trading, the trading / buyout.
Yep.
I don't think you can get a team to take that contract. Maybe they move. There's definitely going to be trades before the trade deadline with this team. I'm not sure where yet.
Yeah.
But the buyout on OEL, I remember when we acquired him, the buyout structure becomes extremely favorable after 4 years of when we acquired him. So we have 2 more years to go. I think Jim Rutherford still very much feels that this team can be competitive next year. And I think that OEL, he can still be a part of that. And I'm not even saying that it's impossible that he's not a part of that. Like last year, he was still very serviceable. Like he reminded me kind of like Alex Edler as he was slowing down, which would be just fine if he was doing that. It's just this year it's been a disaster. But he's not alone. There's been other Canucks players where it's been a disaster for them this year. It has not been an easy season at all. OEL is one of those guys where the buyout for me doesn't become possible until 2 more years. You're going to have to ride it out and suck it up until then.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. So let's stay on the blue line. Luke Schenn, he's one of 3 UFAs. Obviously the biggest one being Bo Horvat. Should have been JT Miller too, but Bo Horvat, Andrei Kuzmenko, and Luke Schenn. We'll save the Horvat Kuzmenko talk for another show because I want to focus on the blue line. Luke Schenn, he's valued by us. Maybe he's a 6 or 7 defenseman like he was when he was with Tampa. Should we try and move him and recoup whatever we can for this player?
Yeah, it's not an easy one, especially like with the rumors that come out of the room and how Canucks Twitter views this room. It's like people look at Luke Schenn as like this glue of the room. And if he leaves, like it's done. Clicks everywhere, arguments everywhere. But to be honest, like from all we have as a fan is like what the Canucks post, what we hear from the media. He does come off of this awesome leader. I know when they're in Toronto, he went on the podcast there and talked about how he was part of planning a team outing in Toronto. And like off the ice, I'm not questioning at all how valuable he is.
Yeah.
It just depends what the return and what the market is for him, right? Like if you're getting offered a second for Luke Schenn, like that's great value. I mean, we just watched the World Juniors, Stankoven with a 2nd round pick, and should he have gone there? No. But even look in our own organization, taking Nils Höglander in the 2nd round, like I know he's in the AHL right now, but I think all Canucks fans still have reasons to be optimistic about Nils Höglander. And for Luke Schenn, who in a couple years will not be with us, even if we do extend him this summer, like, I don't know. I think as an organization at this point, they're not close to competing. This room, eventually, Pettersson, Hughes, if Horvat sticks around, Horvat, Miller, if Brock stays, Brock, Demko, they're going to have to find a way to set that winning culture and win. It's great to have Luke Schenn there to show them if he can, but I think if the return's there, he's got to go. What do you think?
Yeah. He's been so good for this team, but and it's funny, Rutherford and Alvin will not say the term rebuild. They won't even say retool. They don't say anything sometimes. I shouldn't say that. Yeah. Rutherford says a lot. Alvin doesn't say anything. But yes, I think if you, in your heart of hearts, if you think that you can recoup an asset, I love what you said. Even if it's just a 2nd rounder, we need draft picks. We need to stock up again. And if you like him so much and you don't think you're gonna be able to afford him next year, then maybe you do him a solid and trade him to a contender, and therefore you're getting at least something back. I agree with you. I really agree with you.
Speaking of the rebuild word that you're throwing out there, retooled. I see the chat mentioning Connor Bedard. Are you on Team Tank? Are you on Team
Well,
Let's
come
compete for a
on,
playoff
you
spot?
know the answer to that. I can't even say the word, and I know in the past years, maybe because there hasn't been a guy. There's been obviously some great draft picks, but never a guy that's captivated our hearts. Local boy, we know all the storylines, and we saw his record-breaking performance at the juniors. Um, I 100% see where people are coming from, where they say they're closer to a lottery pick now than they are to a wild card spot. I understand that. I get all that. I just don't see the players intentionally doing that because they have too much pride. Do you want PD
Okay,
and
but
Hughes and Denver? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Lay it on
no,
me.
I'm not saying the players are going to go throw games,
Yeah.
and no one's. But when you watch the Canucks and Pedersen has his point in the first period, Hughes has an assist. Are you like let's win this game? Like let's go. Like are you like happy with a loss?
Yeah, great question. I'll answer you honestly. I was pretty pumped when Miller scored that power play goal, the breakaway to tie it up 2-2. When PD and when Hughes and PD were scoring, I was jumping around. I was still screaming as if the Canucks were battling for first place in the Pacific. So, in my heart of hearts, Dave, I still want them to win. I'm smart enough to realize the ramifications of every 2 points. I get all that, but I can't deny my emotion, especially when I'm at the arena. Now, having said that, just because I'm a season ticket holder and I spend a lot of time, energy, and money, the big three, time, energy, money on this team, I also get that this is the year. You can't take back that Arizona trade. You can't take back that JT Miller contract unless you somehow move him, which I don't think you can. So I don't embrace the T word. I won't say it, but I get that if you can move Horvat, Kuzmenko, as much as it pains me to say it, Shen and others, you can really remake this team already. Quickly this summer. It doesn't mean they're going to be good right away, but you can actually really, really make a dent this year for sure.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I was just more curious because and I'm sure you see it like this. Like you look at this core, like we're not anywhere close right now. Like we have great pieces
Yep.
at the middle of it,
Mm-hmm.
but every team, like every team that wins has those like that wins cups. Like look how many like we love Pedersen. I think Pedersen's the man. But if you look at Tampa, like Stamkos, Point, Kucherov, Hedman, Vasilevsky, those are like 5 Pedersens. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it takes a lot. Like it really takes a lot. And I just feel like we're so far. And every 2 points, I just see like I could just see like Rutherford being like that. That's why we have these guys. Like, that's our team. But we've run it back with this core 4 years.
Yep.
Like, and we brought in the new management to have hope.
Mm-hmm.
And the hot Bruce there is streak last year was awesome.
Yep.
But I still feel like a lot more has to get done to be even close. And I think losing just kind of cements it like this team's not good enough right now.
Do you worry, Dave? Do you worry at all about the psyche there of PD, Hughes, and Demko? Let's say our big three.
No, I don't, because I
Mm-hmm.
think they think they're all like extremely confident people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Pedersen and Hughes in particular, they're close on the ice, they're close off the ice. They're both great players, and the only way I'm worried is if they get fed up and want to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, that's the only way I'm worried. I'm not worried about them personally because they're
Right.
amazing players. They've been on winning teams before. And if we get some good pieces around them, they're going to find a way to get wins. So
Yep.
I wouldn't say I'm worried. How about yourself?
Yeah, well, Hughes, he's still under contract for another 4 years, so I'm not worried about him. PD, I don't worry that he's going to pull a Kachuk and just in essence force his way out of here, even as an RFA. Right? You usually worry about that for UFA, not for RFA.
Yeah.
So no, I'm with you. I don't worry about it too much, but yeah, I relate it to Horvat though. Everyone says, oh, when the first thought was that we're not going to be re-sign him. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't want to resign here. As much as I hate to say it, he's my favorite player, but he might be sick of losing. Like doesn't getting traded to a Colorado or a Rangers or whatever, whoever needs a second line center. I'm just using those as an example. That would be kind of appealing, don't you think, for a guy like Bo?
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Like, it's so tough. Like, because Bo was the first piece of his core, and it really felt like he was one of those guys that were meant to retire with that team when he got named a captain at such a young age. And I know it's crazy to say that about like a second line centerman, but he was just a perfect fit for Vancouver. But with this new management, like basically slapping him in the face with their first offer, all these rumors going public when it was very clear that he wanted to keep this private.
Yeah.
It's just there's very clear tension right now.
Yeah.
To be honest, I still wouldn't be surprised though if they take another run at him. I know they have their final mark or whatever, but we heard the exact same story with JT Miller.
It's
And
true.
if this management really is coming back next year saying like, let's do it, let's run it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Are you going to find a Bo Horvat on the street this summer? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You're
Like, that's going
so,
to actually want to come to Vancouver, a losing team.
yeah, you're so right. You're so right. All right, I want to get in the chat, but I got one last question because we've kind of themed this second segment about the blue line. Ethan Bear, 1.8. Travis Dermott, 1.5. Both RFA, so we don't have to tend them a qualifying offer. What do you think happens quickly with each of those guys? Bear at 1.8 and Dermott at 1.5.
I think Bear stays for sure. The management likes him, fans like him. He's been solid more games than he's had more good games than bad games.
Yeah.
Dermott, we still really got to see. He has not played a lot this season.
Sure.
I think Dermott has that upside. I like him. I think he can play in that 5-6 role and do a adequate job. But I feel like we are filled with 5-6 guys, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if he walks. How about you?
Yeah, I like Dermott a lot. In fact, I've told the story. Him and Spencer Martin were the two guys I really enjoyed meeting personally at the golf tournament I volunteered at. But I'm not sure if he's going to get a chance to show what he can do. And so far, they played him on the left side. Maybe you try him on the right. And if you're comfortable with Bear and Dermott as the right shot guys, that helps a lot. But we know Bear's a right-handed D, so I agree with you that of those two, he will likely be the priority. Okay, friends, we're going to enter our third segment. We have about 7 or 8 minutes left with Dave. So put in the chat now anything that you want, basically, Dave to talk about. I might throw in a couple of words too, but put in the chat. There's over 3 dozen of you in here, which is awesome. So like the video. There's only 8 likes. We should bump that up a little bit. And more importantly, put some questions in the chat that I can ask to Dave while we have him here for the last few minutes. Fangirl says, David, what do you think is a realistic path to the NHL for our 2 draft picks for this year? Jonathan Lekaramaki and DPD.
Good question, Fangirl. DPD, look, do you remember a couple years ago? Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name. Petrus Palmu.
Mm-hmm.
Petrus Palmu. Like, when we had him, I've never seen a prospect as universally loved by the fans as he was. And I feel like DPD is becoming our Petrus Palmu. Like, all the fans love him. And I guess it's because 3rd round pick, playing in the SHL, had a solid showing at the World Juniors, had a solid showing this year at the U18s also. Like, every time we watch him, it just seems like he's doing good things.
Yep.
For him, though, he's definitely going to need time based on everything I'm seeing. It's a very tough transition, like going from 3rd pair in the SHL to a 3rd pair in the NHL. Realistically, in a couple of years or maybe in a year or whatever, comes over, plays some time in the AHL. Hopefully his development in the AHL goes better than some of the guys in the past, and then to the NHL.
Yep.
Lekaramaki, I know it's been a tough year for him, struggling to even get top 6 minutes in the Allsvenskan League, but the organization's still very high on him for sure. He's their first round pick. A lot of teams had him in the top 10, so hopefully he can find his confidence, eventually get over to our system and play in Abbotsford, and eventually get up to that middle 6. I can't see him starting in NHL in a 4th line role though, so they're going to make sure he's ready to play at least in the middle 6, because as we saw, playing guys like Podkolzin and Hoagland, or these skill guys on the 4th line, is not a formula for success. And
there's no rush. Agreed. Chris Seifert says, thoughts on the future of our goaltending? Not Demko. We know he'll be fine, hopefully. Martin, Delia, and Seelovs. What's the path going forward here?
Goalies, it's funny, right? Because the trajectory is not always linear. It's very hard to predict goaltenders, so I don't expect it to come down to like one guy. I think Martin is going to come back. I know he's had his struggles at points this year, but in that 10 games run last year, he won people over. While Demko was losing every game this year, he was picking up wins. And it's no roast on Demko. He's been terrific for us. Talk about progress not being linear. For Demko, it almost has been before this season, right? Just getting better year after year. Yeah. But Demko at the top, I don't believe there's any reason to feel otherwise, despite this year. Martin backing up, they'll always have some 3rd goalie that they can bring in, and Seelovs keep developing. Eventually it'd be interesting to see him as a backup.
Yeah, I think it's too quick to anoint Martin as the goalie of the future. That's why they only signed him for a 2-year contract. So let's see. He had a good start. He's kind of tailed off a little bit, but let's see what happens there. Default asks, does Rutherford retire or resign at the end of this year or even sooner? He's not having fun.
Yeah. Doesn't look like anyone's having fun right now in
Yeah.
Vancouver,
Yeah.
honestly. But Rutherford, I don't think he's going anywhere. Dollywall mentioned today that he's still feeling good and would like to stay. So
Good.
I feel like there's a lot of work cut out for them to do, but he has a legacy and he wants to make that legacy continue in Vancouver. And I don't think he's going anywhere soon.
And we'll end with this one, Dave, our time together, because it was actually the one I was going to ask, but I'm going to give C Edits all of the credit here. And we got a couple minutes, so spend some time on this one. What's it like being a Canucks fan in Montreal? Just among your friends, coverage, and reputation of the Canucks team and their fan base.
Yeah, well, let's just say this. Whenever Vancouver does actually have a successful team, I have some victory laps to take for sure because I hear it from everybody all the time, particularly in that COVID year where we played Montreal 8 times. It was brutal because every game, like I get direct messages from people that like I will never talk to. Like ever. And I'll just get a message from them, be like, man, your team sucks, eh? And I'm like, yeah, haha, yeah, we do. Like it just like people come out of nowhere. It's awesome being in a city like Montreal because the passion for hockey is so high.
Yeah.
You can be anywhere and you hear people talking about hockey. I love the city, but Habs fans get on my nerves for sure. I went to the game this year in Montreal where Demko let in 4 goals in the first 2 periods, and I was actually wearing a Demko jersey. And everyone behind me was just booing me, going off. Even I went up to Toronto to watch the game in Toronto
Good for
when
you.
they were there, Hockey Hall of Fame weekend.
Yeah.
And the first play of the game, Jordy Ben makes a nice pass. And I look at the buddy I'm with, I'm like, ex-Canuck right there for the rest of the game, the Leafs fan behind me. And I think he was having a great time. But every time Jordy Ben touched a puck, kicked my chair, and he's like, that's an ex-Canuck right there. So I'm used to hearing it from everyone, but honestly, it just makes me love the Canucks even more because the amount of times I have to go to school defending Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes and this core, it makes me like Vancouver very more. I'm lucky to be in Montreal.
Oh, I love it, bro. Or do they heckle you in French is my question.
They sometimes I won't even know what they're saying if they are heckling me in French, but I don't know, not really, no, because mostly it's all my friends. So yeah. No strangers don't often come up to me and heckle me in French.
I love all my colleagues, and Game Over Montreal does very well. Andrew Berkshire, but that game where Vancouver won 7-6 here, 7 goals. So I would be like, Laboo, 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 go home. That was been working on that one for a while. Awesome. So Dave, we got about a minute left. I love how Zoom gives me the timer. So really quickly,
Less than a minute.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Let's continue to collab. Where can people find you one more time? Lay it out there.
Yeah. I'll put it in the description here one more time, but
awesome.
Uncontested Hockey on YouTube. I think we're at 707 right now, so any sub makes a huge difference. We got plenty of Canucks content, so if you can check that out, that'd be awesome. We got social medias. That's all. You can find that on my YouTube page. And then on Twitter at Fan Vancouver. I'm not super active on Twitter, but like, hey, I post the stuff we're doing. I love retweeting your stuff too, and sometimes we have our little interactions there. Yes. So keep up what you're doing too. It's awesome. I'm a huge fan, and we'll be talking soon for sure.
Appreciate that, Dave. So I'll let you get going before Zoom kicks us out. And once again, I'll get you on here by the end of the season. How's that sound?
Sounds awesome. Look forward to it. Thanks to the chat.
All right. Thanks, brother. Take care. Thanks.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye. Once again, that's David Lewis of Uncontested Hockey. Bright young man. He's awesome. I've collabed with him a few times on his channel as well. And he's doing some great stuff on Uncontested Hockey with John. And yeah, I think I'm not sure if he divulged his age. I can say this because I think he's 21 or 22. Dave, put in the chat. Oh, you know what? I realized that they're not allowing you to link. I think I have to type it because I think it gets deleted on purpose. So let me do that as I wrap up here. But Dave, while I'm looking up your channel, type in the chat how old you are, if you don't mind. Uncontested Hockey. I think I can put it in the chat. Let's see if I can do Uncontested Hockey here. let's see if this works. Now, did that come up on the chat? Can you see mine, you guys? I think so, because I'm a moderator. So there's his channel. Make sure that you subscribe to Dave. They are doing some great work already. So Uncontested Hockey. I'm not sure if Dave can still hear me. I think Dave is only 21 or 22 years old because he's either the same age as my son Sean or 1 year older. So a lot of smart people. Parker's like 22, 23 or whatever he is. I know he's way younger than me. You got a guy like Dave, so smart. My son Sean has his moments. So a lot of these people, young whippersnappers that are doing really well. So friends, thank you for being here tonight. I love the interaction. I love the engagement. And indeed, it was truly an entertaining game. Canucks started well. Tampa controlled the middle part of the game. The Canucks make a late push, but fall just a bit short. I know it's not about moral victories, especially now we're at an interesting part of the season, exactly the halfway point finally for the Canucks. They go into the halfway mark, 3 games under 500. If they want to make the playoffs, they basically got to go 16 games over 500. So pitcher, they got to go something like 29-13 if they want to make the playoffs. Not likely, but does that mean they should go the other way and do what they need to do to increase their lottery odds? That's another discussion for another show. Just going to look up the schedule. So the next games are this weekend. And I think that Kaya actually has both of them. So the Canucks move on from Tampa Bay, and next they go to, I have it right here. Well, they stay in Florida. They play in Florida on Saturday. They play Carolina on Sunday. And yes, Kaya has both of those shows, and she's got some wonderful guests lined up for those shows. So make sure you stick with us here on Game Over Vancouver. We are thrilled to have you, and we appreciate all of the support and the loyalty that you've been giving us in our first season with the Steve Dangle Podcast Network. So on your way out, make sure that you subscribe to SDPN. Make sure that you like the video. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure you rate and review. And you can also follow Dave at Uncontested Hockey, subscribe to their YouTube channel, and then for me as well, Canuck Clay, both here on YouTube and on Twitter. So for me, my next show is not until, oh, look at that, next Wednesday when I'm breaking down the Canucks versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. So thanks again for being here. Appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. And by the way, did you know that I spend my time telling people about the benefits of dried grapes? It's all about raising awareness. Take care, and go Canucks go. Good night, everyone.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.